What? Episode
what?
203 of the EriDan Film Festival.
What do you mean, what? You sound so surprised.
I am. I'm shocked. I'm shocked because this is our 250th movie.
I just got an email from YouTube that we're live on YouTube right now. Isn't that exciting?
Oh, wow.
Thank you, YouTube, for letting me know. Let's make sure to tune into that show.
Yeah, you might want to check that out. That's pretty exciting. Hey, it is the EriDan Film Festival, the night we get together with friends and family to talk about movies, film, cinema, TV,
yes,
and
yes,
all of those things. Not
the
necessarily in that order. Tonight's show, we will be talking about Dan's choice of movie, The Manchurian Candidate.
I broke the rule.
You broke the
rule that I have for myself that I've stated a few times, that you should not pick a movie you've never seen.
Because
I did take a chance.
We'll see if that paid off or not tonight. 1962.
The original.
You went way back.
Manchurian Candidate. Way different than I watched the 2004 version as well. Way different.
No, you see, I decided not to watch the 2004 one yet because I was afraid I might get them confused as we were talking about them.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to happen to me. If I mentioned Denzel at all, he was not in this movie.
Denzel was not in the 62.
Neither was Meryl Streep.
Oh, I thought I saw her.
Or Liev Schreiber.
No, Mrs. Potts was in this one, so come on.
Ray Donovan. You mean Jessica Fletcher?
That's exactly what I mean.
Yes.
So,
Jamie Lee Curtis's mom.
There was so much going on in this movie. You know, it's a little shocking twist. I don't know. I thought it was a shocking twist. We'll find out. We'll talk about that. So there will be spoilers ahead. So prepare yourself.
It's been 62 years. If you haven't seen the movie, we're going to spoil it.
This is a pretty old movie. This is a pretty old 62-year-old movie. If you haven't seen it, spoilers ahead. But if you'd like to join us, EriDanLive.com. This is a big night. Not only are we going to have an unboxing, because who doesn't love a good unboxing?
This early birthday gift for Eric.
And I'm grateful already. And because I have an idea what's in the box. And a little program note.
Yeah. Oh,
a big
I'm missing my eyebrow. Look at that. It looks like my eyebrows.
It does look like you shaved a little close.
I can feel it. I didn't shave at all. I can feel it. It's there. I can't see it though.
Maybe
that is weird.
It does look like somebody hacked you a little bit.
Yeah, over there.
Your eyebrows are balding.
I'm balding in my eyebrows now too. Holy crap. It's all moving to my back.
It was bound to happen. You're gonna,
All right.
You're gonna have to get a piece for your eyebrows.
Yeah, the EriDan for eyebrows.
The new EriDan product.
I have some here.
Wow, you pulled that off really quick.
You like that? Because I have the EriDan. If we want to do a EriDan,
that was impressive.
There's the EriDan.
If you could just pull that down a little bit to cover the one eyebrow, that would be good. Just make sure. There you go. There. You see, now nobody would ever notice.
How could you know?
Like a teenager. Look at you.
How young I am.
Speaking of how young people are. I know Reagan's not there, but it just feels like it's been so long.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
So, Stacy and Wade, on the eve of your 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Because you got married when you were 12.
Well, one of us was 12. The other one was 6 years older.
Oh, wow. Okay, then.
Well, there you go.
I have no comments. There's nothing that can be said. Speaking of 6 years older. Brian is here.
Hey.
Bringing some maturity to this show. Classing up the joint. So professionalism.
A quick programming note from Scott.
Uh-oh.
EriDanLive.com.
Scott does not know how to clear his cache.
Just go into if you can't clear your cache, go to an incognito browser. EriDan Live, or I guess we could just put it in the other thing for you.
You could do the thing or put the thing in the thing.
I don't have Facebook.
If you're having trouble joining, your name must be Scott.
My incognito window, though, a couple of times has not worked.
Yeah, for some reason it does that. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Maybe you have too many tabs open in your incognito window.
I have none opened.
It's actually just called a private tab. Yeah. It's weird.
I especially because I set it up way early today. Like it was set up like 11 o'clock this morning. Usually that only happens if it's like within an hour. The old link is still there.
Yeah.
Speaking of old links.
I'm sorry, Dave. This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Yeah, I really like you talking about how incredibly old the movie that came out the year I was born is.
So
this movie's so old. It's old. It's crazy old.
They even make movies back then.
I can't believe there was sound.
It was just flip books on papyrus.
Adam doesn't have any cachet.
There was something wrong with my TV. There was.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, did you adjust your tint control and the vertical hold? The vertical hold may have been
color back in 1962. Everything was black and white. You woke up and went outside, and everything was black and white.
Yes, it was.
Schindler's List. I had the same problem with that. There's something wrong with my.
That's what you had wrong with that movie? That's what was wrong with the movie?
Yeah, otherwise it was a fun romp.
Oh my God.
No, you must have had the R component plugged in, and the rest of them were unplugged.
Like the Seinfeld episode about Schindler's List.
You made out during Schindler's List?
Go ahead, do it. I dare you.
Do what?
Speaking of making out during Schindler's List.
Perfect segue.
Not one of your smoothest intros.
That was unfortunate.
Although, if you watch the remake from 2004, there's some real creepy mother-son stuff going on.
No.
Creepier than this one.
Much creepier.
Yeah. So
speaking of creepier, sorry.
That's Scott? Yes, it's Scott.
Sorry.
What do you mean it's Scott? As a baby, he'll grow. Bring Scott back.
What? I see this as an absolute win.
What?
Creepy baby, creepy baby. What's up, Scott?
I was so glad that I didn't get making out during Schindler's List, and now I'm not so sure.
Hard to know.
At least you're a baby. I'm an old man.
You're a link from the past.
That's
you look like you're caught in a time warp.
Yeah.
He is. Typically.
Well,
he would be.
Typically, yes.
All right, we have got a lot of business because Dan is going to escape.
I have to skedaddle to go to a board meeting, so
for
local theater.
But we're going to jump into this quickly because we have got some major things to do tonight.
Big stories.
Big stories ahead.
And an unboxing.
Pretty behind me. Should we jump in?
Let's jump into the movie.
Let's jump into the Manchurian Candidate. 1962, Frank Sinatra, Lawrence Harvey, Janet Leigh, Angela Lansbury. Interesting $2.2 million budget and a $2.8 million worldwide gross.
It's a huge success back then.
It was a huge success. The critics at a 97, the audience at a 90. And my favorite part about this is the poster. If you come in 5 minutes after this picture begins, you won't know what it's all about. When you've seen it all, you'll swear there's never been anything like it.
I don't think that's true. I feel like you could miss the first 5 minutes and they still basically explain. I mean,
you're missing the whole point of marketing, Amanda.
I'm sorry.
Please get there early. Please come early to our movie.
Well, I'll since I picked this movie, I'll start.
I loved it. It was better than Cats. I'm going to see it again and again.
Dan is my best friend ever. He's the greatest
He's
guy.
the kindest, sweetest.
Everybody says so.
Whoa.
Wow, nifty.
And Men's is not even here. All right. I broke the rule of picking a movie I've never seen, which is kind of a rule I've set that, please don't pick a movie if you don't know anything about it. But I knew this was a good movie. I did see the other one years ago. In this movie, I forgot that he wasn't the candidate. Mm-hmm. In the new one, the character that's hypnotized.
Yeah, they swapped the roles around a bit in the new one.
Yeah. But all I can say is Sinatra, this has got to be his best movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is. He's not a great actor, but he did pretty good. He did a solid job in this.
He wasn't singing Sinatra in this movie.
Yes, exactly. This was the first movie where he was actually a character.
Right. I mean, having a cigarette in your coffee is pretty Sinatra. But...
Yeah. I wonder how many times he tried to do that.
Now, the famous two words Frank Sinatra's never heard were "take two."
Yeah.
Because he was all about getting it on the first take, and he didn't care. But according to a lot of the trivia, they said he was an angel on the set, and he was fantastic to work with.
Oh, good.
I think he liked Frankenheimer. I think that has a lot to do with it. Whereas notoriously on Music Man, he did not get along with the director at all. So, yeah.
And he actually owned the rights to the movie, because a lot of people said when the movie came out, because obviously Kennedy was assassinated like less than a year later, that they blocked it for years, and it played on TV a year later. It was blocked for a bunch of years because he owned the rights to it and he didn't want to release it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was banned in like other countries or something.
Well, it wasn't exactly complimentary to various Asian nations.
Yeah.
Or Russia.
Those Manchurians.
I mean, it was no breakfast at Tiffany's, but definitely was tea time with Manchurians.
Yeah. Miss Mamie.
I think the other thing too, it wasn't really good to was it azaleas? Was that what they were talking about? Hydrangeas. Thank you.
Yeah. To me, the star of the movie was Angela Lansbury. She was incredible in this. She was, I mean, Meryl Streep is obviously a great actor. Meryl Streep in the remake couldn't hold a candle to Angela Lansbury's performance in this.
No, she was really creepy.
And she was 37.
Yep.
And only 2 years older than the guy who was
acting.
Well, you know who Sinatra wanted. Man. Sinatra wanted that to be Lucille Ball.
No.
Ricky. Raven.
We knew that was coming.
She's done serious stuff though, but I don't know if people would have bought it.
Well, her early movies were all serious roles. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Angela Lansbury was 2 years older than Lawrence Harvey Lawrence, whatever his name is, who played her son.
Yeah.
Cigarettes.
Wow.
Who I first remember seeing, he was a villain in a season 2 episode of Columbo.
Yeah. Yeah. There were so many people affiliated with the Wild Wild West on this show.
If you were to make
this... saying that guy's in Chuck, that girl's in Chuck. Yeah, this was all the Wild Wild West.
I honestly feel like you remind me a lot of Benedict Cumberbatch. If you're to do a remake of this movie, that's who I would pick to play that part. Similar vibes.
See that?
Mm-hmm. All this time, though, I never knew the song "My Way" was about Leonard Shaw.
Well, Adam says you could have fallen asleep in the middle of this like I did and not miss a beat. And Sinatra's not a good actor, not even in this. Well, I beg to differ.
I do too.
I half agree. He's not he's a mediocre actor at best. But I think he did a good job in this.
But in this, you forgot it was him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of bad actors in this too, though. Like the one, he was really bad. What was his name? The Russian doctor guy.
Oh yeah.
It was bad. I was hurting when I was watching that scene.
Yeah, he was There's the one line I wrote down where I was like, they went a little over the top with like the villains being evil. It was the line, the uniquely American emotions of guilt and fear.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the biggest difference between this movie and the 2004 version. It's funny we keep calling a 20-year-old movie the new version. The 2004 version is that in the 2004 version, 61 was peak Cold War paranoia.
Yeah.
And you can't reproduce that with Gulf War, which is what they tried to retime it to in the 2004 version. It just lacked that sense of a communist around every corner and under every bed that pervaded, especially after the McCarthy era, U.S. politics. And in fact, there were so many references to McCarthy in this. The fact that McCarthy kept changing the number of communists in government when he would talk about it to the press. And 57 was one of the numbers that he used, actually, when he was talking about it.
Because he was having some Heinz ketchup. I'm sure it was the same reason.
That was funny. That was funny.
That was good.
And that's another difference between this. This version did have some humor in it. The 2004 version was utterly humorless.
Dark.
You mean they didn't do the Baskin
Well, it
Robbins tie-in with the 2004 version? Didn't have Baskin Robbins going with how many kids?
It was 2002. It was post 9/11. Everything got really dark for about 10 years. And then 2011 happened. We had all the great music, so they had to kind of turn it up a little.
2004, not 2000.
And then Cats.
Okay.
Close enough. And
just had to correct you. Sorry.
I hadn't seen this movie in probably 20 years. It's been quite a while. And I remembered how it ended more than I remembered most of leading up to it. But I remembered the ending vividly with how it resolved itself. And I think the ending of this version is much better than the 2004 version.
It's a very interesting period where you're not quite to like the art era where Bonnie and Clyde invaded Hollywood, but you're also sort of near that golden age where it's like, even just to make the choice to shoot in black and white and very clearly be not on a wide lens, be between 35 and 70, like this movie clearly was. It's supposed to feel grittier. It's supposed to feel darker. And noir was still technically a very artsy, melodramatic style.
On the other hand, Rosie had no role in this movie whatsoever. Why was she even in it?
Yeah,
she had no purpose.
Yeah, that felt so random. I kept expecting her because, like, the way she just approached him on the train seemed a little like suspicious,
and then canceled her engagement.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, she's clearly like a plant or something, but like, no, it was just like a weird.
And that's one of the things they changed in the remake is they made her a more major character. But in this version, she has no purpose.
I don't know what she was. I don't know what her.
She had a contract.
And little
I almost think that. Yeah.
During the filming of this, she was handed her divorce papers from Tony Curtis.
Oh man!
Oh.
So Jamie Lee Curtis would have already been born at this point.
Yeah.
Put a diamond card for Jamie Lee Curtis as a baby. She's like.
Has anyone ever seen the Ipcris file from '65? Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
No.
Because it's only 4 years later, and it's another sort of Cold War, brainwashing, emotional stress kind of movie. The main differences are this is a very American feeling movie. That is a very British feeling movie, and that's in color. Those 4 years, there's certainly a somewhat similar feel to it, but whereas this movie feels more like rooted in still one foot in the Rat Pack era. The '65 movie is very much in the the 60s are here. It's Michael Caine, cool guy.
Swing in time, baby. Oh
yeah. Well, that's funny you say it because the villains are very Bondish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very well. And the guy who played, I could swear the guy who played the Chinese guy giving the lecture, didn't he play Wo-Fat in Hawaii Five-0, the recurring villain that would periodically come back to torture McGarrett?
Yes.
I think he was also in
Wild Wild West.
You Only Live Twice. I could.
Is that Dr. Yen Lo?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, he was Chinese agent Wo-Fat. There you go.
Yeah, because I remember about once a season they'd have a Wo-Fat episode of Hawaii Five-0,
Yeah.
I mean, normally it was, we're solving a crime. Yep, that's him.
There he is.
Normally we're solving a crime because someone's smuggling drugs into the mainland or someone's kidnapped a girl. But once a season or so, they'd have this Chinese intrigue where they're brainwashing McGarrett and they're doing all these weird, wild things, and they've kidnapped Chin Ho, and it was just always really weird.
He looks like a bald Chinese Goldfinger.
Yeah,
really, and he is a good actor. He really commands the screen when he's on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he was playing,
Maybe that
talking about
that
was fantastic.
Much better scene. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and in the remake, instead of sort of conditioning Pavlovian type stuff, they have them implanting some sort of weird magic chips in people's backs and brains. It's kind of strange.
Huh.
Yeah, Dr. Pavlov.
Yeah, Dr. Pavlov of the Pavlov Institute.
He's from Pavlov Institute.
Yes, absolutely.
And the new one, it's the Manchurian Institute, because
it's like a big think tank kind of thing. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Well, it's 20 after, and we're on a time crunch tonight. We've got some exciting things to go over, so I'll start the scoring as soon as Eric plays the little bumper.
Nice cue.
Bumper.
You like that? Hi. So yeah, I picked this movie having never seen it, but I knew about it. I know also that there were people that thought John McCain, because he was locked up for 5 years, could have been a Manchurian candidate, or Obama, because people were like, I had no idea where he came from, could have been a Manchurian candidate, and neither of those proved to be true, because the world didn't end. I did enjoy the movie. I watched it on Tubi, and I watched it on the airplane, so that worked out perfectly on my last trip. And I think this is a fantastic movie. I give it a 92.
Woo!
There you go.
Starting strong.
Oh wow. I thought I had seen this the whole way through, and apparently I did not. I remembered the scene at the beginning with the hydrangeas, which I read was just copied word for word out of a seed catalog. And that was Miss Mamie from the Waltons was doing that speech when Kai Dai wasn't doing it. And then towards the end I did remember some of the end, like the running and getting through all the things. I kind of remember that. I must have seen parts of it in film class. That's all I can remember, but I must have fallen if they played the whole thing. I think I was out, because I don't remember a lot of it. And but it was very compelling, and I really enjoyed it, even though some of it was a little violent, just a little bit. So, I think I'm gonna give it a 90.
Woo. All right.
Yeah, I liked that it was in black and white. I don't think it would have been as good if it was in color. And I think that helped it a lot. It was, I'm sure for the time it was an interesting concept of brainwashing. Even though that's come up quite a few times, but that still is a good movie genre in a way. So I'm going to give it a 90 also.
What do you think of the airplane, Wade?
Huh?
The private jet they're on. That was actually
the probably King Air, whatever that thing was.
The jet they were on was actually Sinatra's private jet.
Was it?
Ooh, it was fancy. It was
it was nice.
And I wanted to say about Angela Lansbury in the last scene with her son, and because she waited up till 2:30 in the morning for him, and she had no makeup on, and I was just like, I just loved how they did that. It was just very cool.
I saw her once in Santa Monica when she was got to be in her 80s. And I could not believe how gorgeous she was.
She is.
Like, she was just, because Mrs. Jessica Fletcher was not a good looking woman.
No.
Like, she played it down to do Murder,
Mrs.
She Wrote.
Potts. Yeah.
Yep.
That was just her voice, but yes.
But yes, she is Mrs. Potts.
We'll go over to Brian.
Hey, I still haven't come up with a number yet. I'm really bad.
You can defer that.
I didn't like it as much as you guys did, unfortunately. I think the beginning was kind of slow for me, but I get why people were. A couple of people said that they fell asleep. The ending kind of caught my attention way more, though.
Yeah.
So there's that. And I did like the remake more than this one. So that's kind of my thing, which never happens. I don't know why. I don't know. I haven't come up with a number.
We'll come back to you. How about that?
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. We'll go to Dave. Wait, where did Dave go? There he is.
There I am. Yeah, I will say I agree with Wade that the black and white is almost it's almost metaphorical too, because this is a movie about black and white.
Yeah.
You know, communism evil, and the reds under every bed and behind every door, and it sort of works in that regard. And then one of the things I loved about it was near the end when Angela Lansbury is talking to Raymond, she really makes it clear in a very subtle way that she is going to get her revenge on the people that she's working with, but not because of what they did to him, but because they underestimated her.
Right.
That's what bothered her the most. Yes, I think she was a little upset by what happened to her son, but how dare they do that to me is what really sat in her craw. And I think that really helped cement who her character was, which it was all about her.
Yep.
And I think the biggest difference between this and the remake, they changed some stuff around, and that's fine. The suspense in this was built by the performances and by the writing. The suspense that they tried to build in the remake was by using weird edits and camera angles and odd close-ups, and tried to do it in a different way that to me wasn't as effective.
Yeah.
But I recognize that different people are going to like different things. So I do think this is a classic movie. It shows its date to some degree. I mean, it's very much of the Cold War. It's just you could not make this movie the same way even 10 years later. So it's sort of an era. You could have made it from about maybe 55 to 64, 65. That's sort of the range where it sort of still worked, maybe a little later. But I think the performances are overall very solid. I don't think it was too long, with the exception of, you could have saved 10 minutes by just completely cutting Rosie out of the movie. And it would have been a tighter, better movie for that. But I still really enjoy it. I still feel it's very effective. Frankenheimer is a very skilled filmmaker, and it really shows in this. And I give it a 91.
All right.
So much fun.
Brian, one more time, if you want to just look at this. Up beside your score. Look at that. All right. Amanda.
Yeah. So I'd never seen this before. I also did not watch the remake, so I don't know how that comparison plays out. But I thought it was good. As I said, I did think the villains were a little over the top evil, which I get worked with like the Cold War paranoia, but it also kind of, for me, because the villains were so evil, and then the mother was so evil, I just assumed she was with them, and so it kind of ended up spoiling the twist a little bit. It's well, she's obviously super evil, so she's probably with them, and it's yeah, she totally was. And if they had been if the villains had had a little bit more going on, maybe that would not have been such a clear connection. But I mean, otherwise, I thought it was a fun movie. One question I had is the implication that the mother had planted the Queen of Diamonds as a costume for the party, and because the girl says I saw it in a shop window and I thought it was cool, and it's well, that would be an absurd coincidence. And
I think it's just an absurd coincidence.
Yeah.
It's in the mother's apartment, when it's sitting pretty centrally in frame when they're having that final conversation.
Yeah.
Which is, so I was kind of wondering if that was the clue of, and she masterminded that too. But if she was masterminding it, she wouldn't just put it in a shop window. And that would be insane to expect her to buy it. So I was kind of hoping we would get some connection there that showed she had orchestrated that as well. So that was kind of a weird loose end to me. And I agree that Rosie felt like a weird thing to include. But I mean, I thought it was a good movie. I'm going to give it an 85.
I think another thing is that in this version, because they gave Raymond about 10 minutes of screen time of being happy, where he's married to Jocelyn, things are looking up, he feels like he's out from under his mother's thumb, that it makes the tragedy of what happens later even harder to stomach. And in the remake, you never get that feeling. It's like he never even escapes her for a second.
Yeah. That's too bad. That shocked me, that scene later. I went,
yeah.
I couldn't
Speaking of shocking,
it's paint, I promise.
we can't even see it.
I don't know, you guys. Like, I thought this villain was pretty irredeemable, and I connected too much to him. Wanted to kill his parents. Like, I've always wanted to shoot my parents, you know. Just kidding. Sorry, Brian. This movie answered one question for me. So if Frank Sinatra controlled the rights to the movie, and he obviously didn't want to be listening to himself around Christmas, what does Frank Sinatra listen to at Christmas? Like, we found the answer, guys. We know which artist he listens to now because of that one scene. So if you ever wondered, now you know.
Right.
It's a really well-made movie. It's definitely noir through and through. What this really needed was a definitive, I think, visual style, which is probably something that you could do if you're going to remake this movie again. Really kind of lean into much more of a defined experimental vibe. Maybe more like David Fincher's Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, especially on the editing side of things. But the performances are outstanding. This is definitely Frank Sinatra's best movie. I respect him for wanting to do this and doing it right and making sure he did everything to a T, the best that he could, even if it didn't involve him running towards a train and then getting shot in the back, which is still the best ending to any Frank Sinatra movie. I will give this an 87. Thank you, Dave. I'm glad you saw that too.
87.
I kind of liked it when all the money burned.
Oh yeah,
that was a good the Frank Sinatra. Yeah, I like that ending. Yeah,
11. That was.
Do you like
great.
burning money, Brian?
No, but I liked it when it happened to them. It was funny.
Did you come up with a score? I can give you my mom's score. She gives it a 90.
As long as it's below 100, it's a good score, Brian.
I do have a question and we didn't say anything about it. Why were they assassinating him? He was a nominee.
So because it would make a really
dramatic. Dad could be the president.
Yeah, she wanted her husband who was going to be the vice president to then be like by
But he would have moved up. He would have been nominated if the president was killed.
You're thinking of it. The convention rules have changed in the last 50, 60 years.
And she also kind of described this whole scene where like and she described the scene where like he would pick up the like other guy's dead body and like have this emotional speech while covered in blood. So I think the idea is like even if it wasn't like an actual mechanical de facto takeover, everyone would just be so moved by that scene that they would just nominate him.
They would then see him as president.
Yeah, like he was clearly
his blood is ours.
Yeah, like it was going to be such a good speech that like the best speech she's heard in her life. Whatever.
But he was Southern.
You're good at a lot of things, honey, but thinking isn't one of them.
Yeah, that was great.
I don't even know.
Mine, I was just like, what does that actually accomplish? They would just pick the one who was behind in the nomination.
The rules have changed multiple times over the years. In the early days of the election, the highest vote getter would be president, and the second place vote getter was vice president.
Yeah.
It's changed multiple times over the years.
I get it. All right.
No, that's not. I'm not sure that's how it would have been then.
No, that wasn't 61, but but it's changed because each party sets their own rules for nominations.
I give it an 80 because I didn't understand that. Now I do.
All right, so an 80. And then we have Adam and we have Eric left. Wait, why do we have
me left?
Scott is old, man.
I'm not mad. I'm just confused. We explained it to you, and you still gave it a bad score. Like I didn't understand it.
80's not a bad score.
You gave it a B.
80 is not a bad score.
Wait till you see Adam's score. That'll be a bad score.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's true. Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna see a bad score.
Your score wasn't changed by us explaining it to you. That's what makes me laugh.
Maybe it was.
No,
I enjoyed the fact that they sort of time travel through this movie. Like this movie is not. It's very well done using the dream sequences to bring you back to things that happen and sort of follow that through, as opposed to the whole movie trying to be chronological. And I think that works very well in this movie and sort of helps to the slow burn of you trying to piece everything together. I think it works very well. Whether it's rewatchable is a question that I've sort of been wondering about today, is whether I would ever watch this movie again.
I enjoyed it on a rewatch, but it was a lot of time between the rewatches.
Yeah, and I feel that way about it. So I ended up with Amanda with an 85.
I will say that to Scott's point about it sort of lacking a distinctive visual style, the one thing that I did think Frankenheimer and the cinematographer did well is in multiple times they would do sort of the pan, where you would either fade from the present to the past as part of the pan, or the whole circular pan when they were having the ladies' club with the flowers, and then it was the communist gallery. It was. I thought that was very cleverly done.
Yeah, they actually.
Yeah, 2 shots.
That worked very well too. Yeah.
They actually did 3. They shot that 3 different times, and then that was all in the editing. I mean, they shot the entire scenes, beginning to end, in the hotel lobby, and that was awesome, the way they did that. Well, Adam came in at a number. He's come in, I bet you, more often than any other number. I know 65. I've seen this number a lot.
65.
No, way lower.
35.
35 cats. This movie is 35 times better
than Cats.
Yes.
It's a lot of cats.
We're getting
That's
close
a crazy
to that
cat
date,
lady
too.
there.
It is.
When did we watch Cats again?
It's been a
It was a while.
It's been a minute.
Eric's looking up at his numbers.
I am looking up some numbers here.
Or he's thinking about them very intently.
If I was a number, what would I be? No, we actually have a tie here with Manchurian Candidate coming in with a exact tie with Wonder Woman.
Sure.
Well, alphabetically, Manchurian Candidate goes
beating
higher.
out Beauty and the Beast. So
No.
not Angela Lansbury.
How did Beauty and the Beast get that low?
Well, this
Come on,
was-
Adam scored probably a 2 to Beauty and the Beast.
How is 12 Angry Men lower than this movie?
This
I
movie's
give up.
better than 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I don't agree with that. That I
it's
don't
not.
agree with.
No, I sort of rank them both fairly closely.
Yeah.
Good
All right,
job,
so in our limited 9 minutes left or so,
Okay, that's
before
right.
Adam
We gotta do some
announces
stuff.
his movie.
All right, what do we want to do first? Let's
Well,
discuss what's about to change.
Actually,
we're
I
gonna
give
make a
this and
change.
12 Angry Men the exact same score.
All right. So here's the deal. So Adam is going to choose our movie for next week. And we're going to have a very special summer. It's an EriDan summer. We're going to do something a little special this week. We're going to give you 2 weeks to watch each movie. And so you'll have more time over your summer as things get crazy to watch. You'll have a chance to watch your movie over 2 weeks. And what per se are you wondering? Well, what about that other Monday when we're not talking about a movie? What are we going to do, Eric? Because I got to do this every Monday still. Well, it's the return of the EriDan Social Hour. I know you're excited. Every other Monday, we will be bringing back the EriDan Social Hour, which includes games and fun and You Don't Know Jack and all that funness that you've been waiting for. So after many years of hiatus, we are bringing back bi-weekly the EriDan Social Hour. So you can.
Are you going to bring back those tuxes?
What was that?
Yes.
Can you bring back those white tuxes while you're
Oh
at it?
yeah, absolutely. If we get enough people watching, yes.
So
Speaking of white tuxes,
Oh my goodness. Hold on, wait, I gotta find a button.
In the beginning, there was.
All right, let's find it out. It's
He's
Adam.
going to pick the Manchurian Candidate 2, the
so
sequel.
does this mean we have 2 weeks to watch Adam's movie?
That
Next
is
week,
correct.
next week will be a game night.
You have 2 weeks.
It won't take 2 weeks. It's not a very long movie, so
None of them are 2 weeks long, but yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could have picked like. No, they're not. Never mind. Anyways.
Oh, sorry. Let's give Adam the spotlight. Hold on a second.
No, don't put me in the spotlight.
You have to. You're picking. You're announcing.
Tell us what your movie is.
No. So I just wanted to go with something lighter because we've been watching a lot of heavier movies lately and a lot of longer movies lately.
Yes.
And, the movie I'm picking I actually had on as my choice for when we did the animation wheel like months ago. I don't know what it was. Anyways, so I'm picking the Iron Giant.
There you go.
Okay.
The Iron Giant.
Respect.
And I thought it was available for streaming, but apparently it's only for rent. So if people can't find it or rent it, just let me know and I'll pick something else.
Why doesn't Warner Brothers like their movies? How dare you not stream this movie?
It's not even because I could have swore when I was picked last week, I looked online and it said it was streaming on either Amazon Prime or Max, and now it's not. So I don't know what happened.
Stuff's always changing.
Right, somebody else might pick it up, but you can check your local library.
It is streaming on Paramount Plus.
Oh,
no, I checked that. It said Paramount Plus with Apple TV. I checked that earlier.
Oh, so you have Apple TV and Paramount Plus,
which I didn't know they had. I didn't know Paramount Plus had a thing with Apple TV.
This is only going to get worse as the streaming consolidation continues.
Pretty soon we'll all have a Time Warner cable. Plus.
with an A/B switch.
Yes. We have to only watch it on channel 3.
And you have the little slider so you can play your Atari.
So our second cool announcement.
Oh, I'm going to open
Eric, I found something that I thought would be the perfect gift for Eric. His birthday's coming up at the end of the month, and it arrived early, and there's no way Eric can wait.
There's no way.
Over 2 weeks.
No way.
This candle smells like EriDan.
It sounds like an
It might be
insult.
closer than you think. All right, I have not opened this yet.
He said he was going to wait.
I did wait. Look, there it is, completely sealed.
Is that from the Funko Factory in Washington State?
This would be from the fine folks at Funko.
There might be something
in a mayonnaise jar on Funkin' Wagnall's porch.
Might be a bonus in there too. Look how careful he is, just in case.
What's a collectible?
Oh my goodness! It's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen.
Oh, my glasses fell off. So did yours.
Oh no, my glasses are on.
Oh, I didn't see them.
You can barely see them. But
Yes, I see them when you have an angle. Yeah.
What the hell?
They make EriDan Funko Pops now.
We're gonna open this up.
Make them available on the website. Actually, that's a one-off.
It's a Barnes and Noble exclusive.
Eric, there's another Funko Pop coming because if I spent $5 more, I got free shipping. So it was cheaper. So you have another one on its way, which is where the custom ones will come before the regular one.
Is it the Mensa one? Do you have the Mensa figure coming? Okay.
Hold on, let me get Dan together here.
He got him the 50-inch Taylor Swift Funko Pop.
You just have to make a little. You have to make a little baseball cap to put on.
This is
unbelievable.
There it is.
That's great.
I've got a microphone and a basketball.
It looks more like him without the glasses, though, because you see the eyebrows.
Bud. Oh, I love the little camera. That's really cute. Look at the little cat tail in the way here. There we go. Little headphones, little camera. That's amazing. That's unbelievable. Well,
Happy birthday.
Man, holy cow.
You have a Saint Bernard?
I do have a Saint Bernard.
What? I didn't know that.
Only for a couple months now.
You need to get a big Taylor Swift like this.
Holy moly.
Is that your dad?
If they made Taylor Swifts like that, you know I would have one.
What do you mean? I thought that was Taylor Swift.
We don't know who's under the helmet. Maybe it is.
Like you did there. What are you doing? Sorry.
Dark helmet.
Yes, I will be traveling for work next Monday, so I may or may not make the social hour. We'll see.
Okay.
So what are we
Well,
doing
it's hard to say how long the social hour will actually last.
I do realize, yeah. I'll get back to my hotel at some point. I just don't know how late it'll be.
What do we
I
do
also
on
want
the
to point out, I just posted this on Facebook. that there's a Starbucks story from CBS News. Biggest coffee chain on the planet losing ground with people around the globe. First drop in quarterly revenue since 2020, which is the pandemic. I gave up Starbucks in October.
Oh, that's why.
I lost 35 pounds, and their revenue has now dropped. I think it's Ozempic. I'm not taking Ozempic, but I think Ozempic is the reason that they're losing because people are stopping having all the sugary drinks. Yes,
so
Eric.
Dan, if you've ever had the question of whether you should do this or not, bam.
Yeah, they didn't have balding. They had bald with a hat or bald.
It comes with a Sharpie.
I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make a EriDan for this.
That is
and then
wild.
you can have it wearing EriDan merch.
There you go.
Excellent idea.
Adam is breathing heavily and wondering when that's going to be on the merch shop.
Oh, I'm telling you.
When will it be on the
You
merch
show up
shop?
on the merch shop. Get ready. They're gonna fly off the shelves.
It could take a while. We're gonna
I
shuffle
ordered,
everybody up. Shuffle up.
You're making me dizzy.
I ordered something from the merch shop that I'm gonna wear at Dan's show, so hopefully it gets here in time.
Uh-oh.
Nice.
Well, I don't know. It depends. It depends.
It
on
will.
how-
They just put it in the mailbox.
Okay.
No signature needed.
Does it come with the 2 buttons over the nipples?
Speaking of,
What?
Oh, smooth, Dan. Smooth.
well, no, I went and saw Cabaret last night, and there's a lot of people wearing pasties in that. So that's my what else we've been watching. Holy crap, is that emotional?
That's Dan taking inspiration for his next stand-up.
I'm opening up with a puke story. That's how I'm starting the show.
Yeah.
So just so everybody's clear, you have 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
The movie. We will gather together on
2
the
weeks.
27th, and we will watch the movie. But we will be here next week,
Playing games.
Isn't the 27th Memorial Day?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the day before Eric's birthday, so we could do the 28th and do it actually on his birthday.
That'd be cool.
Yes, he
You
has other
might have plans.
So, yeah.
I said, well, to be determined. Nonetheless, you have 2 weeks at least to watch through the Iron Giant.
So
Definitely,
I
you know.
I do
There's
like the
someone
fact
in a
you say.
balcony who looks at that car and is like, "It's not changing. What the heck?"
But this
I
will
like the fact
definitely
you say you don't know how long the EriDan social hour is going to last.
it is very true. Sometimes those used to last quite a while.
It's more than an hour.
We'll see how it goes. That's why it was the social hour or so.
Or so.
But then you definitely, this will definitely make the double features a little easier to get through if you have 2 whole weeks to watch
fair.
double features. And we will continue to do double features. We'll just figure out where they fall.
Okay.
The first non-social hour of the month, which means we're gonna have a double feature, a regular show, a double feature, a regular show.
Pretty
I
much.
like regular shit.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yes, and let's see.
All right. At that point, we can talk about what else you've been watching.
I'll go first because I have to leave.
Okay.
Right. Night. Musical. Has anybody seen Cabaret?
No.
Yes.
No, it's a musical. Why would I watch it?
That was
About-
the first movie I wrote a paper on in that one school I went to.
Oh, you won't mention the school you're going to? North
It's the
Kitsap
school-
High School?
It's the school that must not be named at this point, apparently.
Wow.
I don't know if I've watched anything else. I haven't. So that's all for me. See you next week. You guys can keep playing.
See you,
Go
Dan.
to a board meeting.
All right, Dan.
Get
Don't
bored.
be bored.
Don't be too bored.
Don't get too bored. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, let's see when we do social hour again. Let's see which person we can alienate now and have them not come back on the show.
Who did we alienate?
Menza.
Menza and what's his name? Who was Menza's buddy?
I don't
Oh,
know.
Gary.
Did you guys did you scare someone away
Friends
last
and
time?
family. No.
Yeah, well,
Gary
yeah,
left. I think Gary just left graciously. He didn't need to.
because one of the games is one of the Jackbox games is the fill in the blank. No, not the fill in the blank, but it's like the I forget what it is, but it's the one where you can write like really messed up stuff. Like
Yeah.
and everyone was like just ragging on Menza, and he
it became a common joke to use his name.
But
it did get a little over the top.
That wasn't why he left, though.
That's
he left
not right.
for
And
others.
if he had just laughed it off, it would have stopped eventually. He let it get to him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think we should extend the olive branch to Reagan, see if she wants to come back.
We'll see.
Reagan's a weird kid.
How
did that happen?
He is better off.
Hard to know.
So my lame obsession right now has been watching tech TV shows from the early 2000s.
Wow.
Like what?
There's a show that used to be on what used to be on the G4 network that is basically every episode is on YouTube. It's called Attack of the Show. And corny jokes, and they reviewed tech. And I find it fascinating to watch them review phones from 2003.
Fair.
So that's been my daily. I will watch an hour of this every day after work now, which is what I used to do in 2003. Because it was a daily show that was on at 7:00 every day. And so I get home and I fire up an old episode of Attack of the Show. This has become my thing now.
Wow, they have it all on YouTube. Holy crap.
Yeah.
It's like 1,100 episodes.
There you go.
Wow.
That's crazy. Wow.
It is crazy.
I started watching the greatest Discovery Channel show of all time again.
Which is
Mythbusters.
I was going to say it has to be Mythbusters.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has to be Mythbusters.
We
Yeah.
liked Ice Road Rescues. That was pretty funny.
Ice Road Rescues.
Those never get old.
Yes, my first guess actually, when Adam put his categories out and said he picked a movie that sort of fit all three, my first guess was Men in Black.
No, I'm not a big fan of that.
Okay.
Mine was still the Star Wars Holiday Special. It's sci-fi. There's a family melodrama. It's a comedy.
And this is why you need to up your meds there, Scott.
Well, so
I'd watch it if I could find it.
So I had two movies in mind, but then the other movie I was like, it's an okay movie, but even I don't really. I mean, it's a classic, but even I don't really like it too much. So I'm like, I'm not gonna pick that one. I'd rather pick the one I actually like a lot. Because the other movie, I mean, I don't care because I'm not gonna pick it. The other movie I was thinking about picking was E.T., but I kind of think E.T. is overrated.
I first saw E.T. as an adult, even though I had kids at the age that could have watched it, and I never really understood. Of course, I feel the same way about Goonies, and then there's people that are just Goonies is the movie that they could watch 5 times a day, 365 a year, and not get tired of it. So it just depends on when you see it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. I just don't think it holds up very well. That's all.
I watched it when I was younger, and
it just doesn't work for me.
I watched it when I was younger, and then when I got older, I didn't like it as much. So I get it.
So I have a question. I've never seen this movie, and I've thought about watching it, but I saw a couple of trailers, and it looks kind of slow and boring. But I don't know. But it's an older movie. Has anybody ever seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Yep.
Yeah.
So is it slow and boring like the trailers, or is it actually? I mean,
you wouldn't like it.
I wouldn't like
it was slow.
Okay, never mind.
It's the happy version of that's
Independence Day.
No. The movie with Klaatu Narada Nikto. What's that one?
The Baby
Urso.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the same pacing.
The Keanu Reeves version, right?
Yeah.
No. The real version, Dave. How dare you? I know Keanu Reeves is an alien who believes in the best of humanity, which proves he's an alien. But no, not that movie. No, it's a very beautiful film. I think the thing that resonates the most with me and from that film is actually the actor's studio interview with Steven Spielberg, where the host asks he tells Steven, so your mother was a musician and your father was a scientist. In the movie, how did the aliens communicate with the humans?
Music.
Yeah. And Spielberg smiled and he's like, I don't know, but now I do. I wish I could say that was the intention, but I never knew that until you told me that.
The Day the Earth Stood Still would be an interesting pick sometime because it's a fascinating movie, and also how the director had to sort of be very careful how he made it to not run afoul of censors at the time.
Right.
What movie?
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh,
the original.
Yeah, I had the unfortunate experience of watching the Keanu Reeves one before.
Oh my.
That was
no, the Patricia Neal version is definitely the one to watch.
Be grateful that you at least saw a movie where they cared about CGI still.
I've been recently watching, partly because I've read good things about it, and partly because Rian Johnson, who did Knives Out and Glass Onion, is a really interesting director with a very interesting style. And so I started watching Poker Face from last year with Natasha Lyonne. It's really very good. It's sort of like an updated Columbo, because you see the crime committed and you know who did it, and it's just sort of a how are they going to get caught kind of thing. It's very well done though. I recommend it if that's the type of show you like.
Black Sail. So I've been kind of watching the Black Sail on Netflix. The first season, there's a lot of naked people in sex. After that, it tones down, and they start telling this story.
So you're saying watch season 1?
Yeah, season 1 basically sounds like the one.
You
to
have
watch.
your choice.
And if you like that show, there's also Naked and Afraid on Discovery, the third best show.
The only Naked and Afraid I ever watched was the 10-minute spoof version with Seth Rogen and James Franco. They made one that's really very bizarre to watch. It's the two of them. It's really kind of weird, but it's funny.
And Seth Rogen and James Franco.
Yes, it's a very short but sort of semi-sincere attempt at a Naked and Afraid, and it's really pretty good.
You know, I almost hit James Franco with my bike.
Impressive.
Oh,
I was late for class at the school I'm not going to talk about, and he was getting out of the car in front of the school, and I went, ew, and he was like,
sort of like A-Train in season 1 of The Boys.
Yeah, very, very much so. And thankfully, he was high enough. I don't think he recognized me. That's the only reason.
You went to school with him?
No, I did not. But he was teaching the grad class. They were doing a feature film version of Don Quixote. It might have been, I think it was the one that he sent to Sundance like 2 or 3 years later.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Before he was in his I want to hang out with college girls phase. Or maybe he was in the middle of it. I'm not sure. We will.
He was hanging out at a college. There were girls there. What do you want?
Only time will tell.
It's so ugly.
I mean, that's why he got the Golden Globe for Disaster Artist, because he was already playing the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, the remake of The Manchurian Candidate, there's the scene where Meryl Streep, just before Raymond is about to go out, because Raymond himself is going to be now the vice presidential nominee.
Oh.
And he's about to go out, and his mother is telling him what to do, and talking about her and she's caressing his chest. And she kisses him once and then leans in, looks like she's about to give him another kiss, and then it just sort of freezes for a second. It's really creepy.
Huh.
Really creepy.
Oh my.
That kid should go and fight for the army. Yeah.
Be all you can be.
Think about how they were portraying soldiers in movies 10 years later, though.
Oh. Well, 10 years later, you're then in the early 70s.
You're in MASH era.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because by late 70s, you're sort of into more Deer Hunter, Born on the 4th of July kind of times.
Yeah, but you know, that's still like the period after The Great Escape, where it's like, oh, soldiers are just like us. When they're in timeout, they throw balls at the wall and wait to get again.
What year did Apocalypse Now come out?
76, 75.
Yeah.
It was his first movie after Godfather Part 2.
Okay.
And then he got all the award nominations and broke film financing forever. So they said, okay, you go off and play now. You also threw all 5 of your Oscars out the window while you were making that movie. So yeah, we're done. Bye. And Marlon Brando sitting in the corner with McDonald's going, "This time, huh?"
So what director, Scott, do you think of when you think of a very, because I mean, if you think of a very distinct visual style for director, I mean, someone like Tarantino obviously comes to mind, or Wes Anderson, and Orson Welles has a very distinct feel to the way his movies look.
Mhm.
Who else would you say?
Oh, it's very easy at the top of my head. Zack Snyder. It's the only reason anyone ever hires him to be a director. It's not because he can write. It's not because he can edit. It's because if you gave him a scene and told him to visualize it, he can do it 100%. He just doesn't know when to stop.
In slow motion.
Yeah.
John Ford's another one I think of. John
100%.
Ford is the long shots. He's one of these directors that doesn't do a ton of close-ups, but his movies are really visually striking.
Right, and so you know it's important when you do see it. But yeah, you're right. They're always showing off the location. I mean, the ending of the Spielberg movie about his life, where John Ford is like, show off the horizon.
Yeah.
Like, that's because the horizon was always a big part of his shots.
Yeah,
He was
filmed in
outside.
Monument Valley, so I mean, you've got a beautiful place to film. So yeah,
no kidding, exactly.
I
Honestly,
guess the Coens to a degree.
Yeah, you know when you're watching a Coens movie, they are very selective with their wide shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet that whenever they do a wide shot, they simply just have a set that is big enough where they can zoom out and show it off, like in Hail Caesar. They're showing off all the musical numbers, and they want to have that wide anamorphic angle, but they can't because they're
and of course Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh yes.
I have yet to watch Unfrosted. I probably will at some point. It's just it's one of those weird movies where the previews actually turned me off from seeing it.
Yeah, it's like, look at all these comedians who are out of work because we only have 5% of Hollywood working right now. Come see this movie. Yeah. I would say David Lean has another strong visual style.
Oh,
I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
Frosted.
Dan liked it.
I didn't like it.
I liked it.
I'm not a huge
time with it.
I think I know people. I've always said this. I think Seinfeld's overrated. I think Larry David's way funnier than Seinfeld.
Well, if you don't like Seinfeld, you're not like a movie that is all his comedy style.
I don't
like Seinfeld at a minimum. You have to like Seinfeld going into Unfrosted.
I don't like Costa. I'm gonna go to Olive Garden.
I
just
will
don't think it's like his stand-up.
Larry David is probably the more interesting. Larry David's humor is much more interesting than Jerry Seinfeld's. Seinfeld can be funny. I've seen some of his stand-up that I thought was very funny, but he doesn't go deep at all. He's a very superficial comic.
Yes.
Sorry,
this is just enormously silly. Unfrosted is just unbelievably enormously silly. And if you're not going to enjoy a silly movie, then no, this isn't. And a lot of times I don't enjoy that, but I enjoy Jerry Seinfeld enough that it was fun. It's a fun movie.
Adam Sandler does a lot of that too. You see some of Adam Sandler's Netflix movies.
Yeah.
They're very much just being over the top silly.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, is that when a comedian knows their brand and they know they have an audience and a demographic that will come out and see them, it's not that they don't feel like they don't have to try. They're just going to go after what works. Which is why Adam Sandler made the same movie for 25 years.
Yeah, Tyler Perry made an entire career of that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's just what comedians
look at what Dan Rosenberg has done with his brand of humor.
So interestingly, with Adam's movie choice, Brad Bird, his first 3 feature films were The Iron Giant, The Incredibles, and Ratatouille.
Wow.
I mean, you want to talk about starting your career off in a way that you could never sustain.
No, he has the best story about... Literally the best story. If you can't beat him, join him, but it's the opposite. So it's the 90s and Warner Brothers Animation. Warner Brothers Animation is basically trying to look like Disney Animation, which results in bad Warner Brothers Animation. And Brad Bird is coming in here, this upstart, and he's like, yo, you can't do that. Like, we're an amazing animation studio. Let's do something that they're afraid to make. And so, he made this story about a nuclear weapon befriending a kid in Canada. Like, do you think Disney's going to be making that? No, they're making the princess movies. They're making stuff based off books. And then Warner Brothers does what it always fucking does, which is they don't advertise their animated movies. That's why Bats the Phantasm failed. And for good reason, it's also why King and I failed. That movie freaking sucks.
Oh, and don't forget Acme that they're burying.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And so the movie didn't make a lot of money. And then Brad Bird gets this call from Disney saying, so we heard you don't like our movies and you don't like what we're doing and you just want to do what we're not doing. Do you want to do what we're not doing for us? And that's how they got hired by Pixar. And again, Pixar, beautiful, amazing childhood memories and non-adult things. Well, how does The Incredibles open? With a frickin' Tommy gun in the back of a car. And it goes into genocide.
Pixar has a lot of that. I mean, obviously with Toy Story and Bug's Life and a lot of their earlier stuff. But by the time of Incredibles and Up, they were dealing in a much different style.
Yeah.
Story.
They're actually letting their human characters become characters, which is actually what Warner Brothers used to do. Like all the humans in Disney cartoons, they all look the frickin' same. But Warner Brothers, you look at the Bugs Bunny spoofs and all that, dude, you could tell what a character was by how they were shaped and how they moved. And that's what they did with The Incredibles.
Were there ever better cartoons than some of the Warner Brothers, Bugs Bunny, like the Rabbit of Seville and just What's Opera Doc? I mean, they were amazing.
Absolutely. You take out all the blackface, they were absolutely amazing.
Yes, very true. And the fact that when they re-edited them, they changed the legs of the maid to not make them black. It was,
oh my gosh, you're serious. And now, at least they have a message that says, hey, we're not proud of what we did, but we're still going to make money off of it, so we sold to you as DVD.
We're still going to release it, even with some minor edits, unlike Disney, who will never show Song of the South again.
We just know there's an audience for this material, and we just want to make everyone else who did not want to see this aware that they did not want to see this. But if you want to watch this, just ignore this message. That's actually the literal font they have on that slate. Oh, Warner Brothers. Yeah. They canceled something else, too, recently.
There's been so many cancellations from everyone.
It's all these tax write-offs. It's all just for tax write-offs. It's so stupid.
Private equity firms.
Well, they had the whole they had Catwoman basically done, and they canceled that too. So.
They had a chance to redeem Halle Berry, and they chose not to do it, which I don't know if I respect or not.
And supposedly Michael Keaton's Batman was supposed to be in that movie or something like that, I think.
Well, of course he was, because now Michael Keaton's Batman saves every single superhero movie that comes out of Warner Brothers.
Well, it's because it's the one sentimental actor they can roll out and say, well, the movie wasn't that good, but wasn't it great to see Michael Keaton as Batman again?
Wasn't it great to see Michael Keaton not trying while wearing a costume? Wasn't it great?
I didn't think he was that bad in The Flash.
Oh, he is totally phoning it in, man. Like, if you've seen The Founder, Birdman, The Spotlight, where he's actually trying to do something. And no, this is Birdman. Like, well, I guess I'm here.
I'm not sure I'd say he's phoning it in Birdman.
He's not phoning it in Birdman. No, but he got nominated for Oscars for all three of those movies.
I know.
And this was like, so this movie is about a guy who we know in real life is going off and kidnapping and beating up other people, and you guys want me to try in this movie.
And yet, no nomination for Mr. Mom or Gung Ho. Can you believe it?
I cannot believe that. Biggest. And now he's doing Beetlejuice, so we'll see if he phones it in there. I don't think he will.
I don't think he can. You can't phone it in for Beetlejuice, especially if Burton is involved. Burton's not going to let him phone it in.
Make it like old man Mark Hamill from Last Jedi, but Beetlejuice.
Well, make him an old Beetlejuice.
Yeah. This is the only thing that gives me life, blue milk. Yeah.
I was very scared of that movie when I was young.
Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice?
Oh, yeah. Very scared of it.
You know what? That actually does not surprise me, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, the film that scared Amanda and her sister when they were kids was Pee-wee's Big
Adventure. I mean, the Large Marge jump scare is like legit terrifying. Like,
I laughed so hard at that part.
Wait, what was this? I missed the
Large Marge.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah. There's like a jump scare where like her eyes bulge out to like a crazy degree. She becomes like
It's
this
very,
weird, like,
very Terry Gilliam like. All of a sudden, it's this animated.
Eric.
And it's just for like 1 or 2 seconds. And we were like pretty young at the time. It was terrifying.
Tell them Large Marge sent you.
No one ever told her what claymation was before.
In the middle of a Pee Wee Herman movie too.
We watched claymation stuff. I liked claymation, but like you're not expecting like a terrifying like jump scare of it and a truck driver. Like what are you?
It's like, oh, Bambi's such a great movie. Oh my God, they killed his mom.
Well, you're the one who was talking about killing your parents earlier, Scott.
Oh, that's only when I play solitaire.
Speaking of Pee Wee, if anybody's interested on you should go ahead and show that.
Oh my!
Large Marge,
and it has this awful laugh, like
yeah, it's true.
No, I was gonna say on YouTube right now, on the Shout Factory channel, they're streaming all the Pee Wee's Playhouse episodes.
Oh,
yeah.
Hmm.
And interesting, we segued from the movie that used to scare Brian to the movie that used to scare Amanda. Both Tim Burton movies.
I gotta say though, Pee Wee Herman doing a PSA about crack when his house looks the way it does is the most hilarious thing ever. Please tell me that house was not inspired by someone on some sort of substance.
Well, but it was more of a hallucinogen, I think, than crack.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very psychedelic.
That's fair enough, but still.
Yeah, the last movie he did as Pee Wee, the one that came out on Netflix like a while back.
Yeah,
I didn't really like it. I don't know why, but I think they just
I've had it in my watch list forever, but I've never watched it.
I think they waited a little too long to make another one, because one of the problems I had with it is just there's really no. I mean, there was no. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I was gonna say there's no characters in it from the show, but there wasn't in the first movie. But he doesn't have anybody in it that was like in his cast of characters that he uses like in his other stuff. So it was very weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain. You have to watch it.
Was he played by James Brolin?
No.
You can't have Lawrence back because he's Nero now.
Well, and Phil Hartman's sadly gone.
And then Big Top Pee Wee was just not good.
We also
it wasn't horrible, but it had no inspiration.
No.
No, you know what the greatest 80s, 90s commercial movies of all time were? The Ernest movies.
Yes.
I was just
there we go.
about
Slinky Dog, yeah. Jim Varney.
Right here, Woody, and I'm ready to start.
That's the kind of
but Ernest Goes to Africa may have been a step too far.
I'm sorry. I just laugh so hard whenever I see Ernest scared stupid and the whole Miak bit happens. I'm like, everybody who's 9 and younger knows that it's milk, but they don't care. Here's this troll getting killed by this 17th century substance they use for tea. I have fresh Miak. It's so bad.
Reagan,
Ernest scared stupid. Ernest Goes to Jail. Ernest Goes to Camp. There were a ton of them.
And
my dad watched 3 of them, those 3 that Dave just mentioned, and he used to watch them with Reagan all the time, and they loved him. He used to do the Stop and Go commercial here. It would tick. My dad would. Oh my gosh! Just thought that was hilarious.
Also, I will just go ahead and say this: Ernest Saves Christmas has the best Santa Claus ever.
Oh.
Now, he looks like Santa Claus. He acts like him. He's played by the guy who voices the Sultan in Aladdin.
Aww, he looks like Santa too.
It's a very sweet voice.
Did you know that they're doing a sequel to the live action Aladdin?
Oh,
yes.
huh.
Oh yeah.
I heard that.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Interesting.
That was my reaction too.
Do they not
tell us how you feel, Scott?
I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah, I actually liked the live action Aladdin. It wasn't amazing, but it was.
It wasn't the worst live action remake, but it wasn't good.
It felt
better than the Lion King
remake.
remake.
Very WB to me. Like it felt like it would have been a really good. It just didn't feel like a full release film. It felt more like Grease Live.
It had an opportunity to
On
be
ice.
a Bollywood musical, and they went for some halfway BS.
I think that the guy who played Aladdin did okay with
Will
his
Smith?
singing.
No, Will Smith was the genie. Who was
Yeah,
Aladdin?
he was Aladdin.
But yeah, I do like they definitely went halfway. I agree.
Adam is grateful that we're reviewing this movie now, so he doesn't have to watch it.
Which one?
Aladdin
Live action
remake.
Aladdin.
Oh, I would never watch. I love the original
Exactly.
Disney Aladdin, the one with Robin Williams. I would never watch. I would never watch the live action.
That's one of the classic. When Disney had their resurgence with The Little Mermaid, that series of 3 films of The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin saved Disney animation. Absolutely.
Yeah. We don't talk about Rescuers Down Under.
What about Treasure Planet?
What about Pocahontas,
Yeah, I
the
like
movie that everyone thought was going to get Best Picture, so they kicked everybody who was bad off to do this small movie called The Lion King.
Oh my gosh.
True story. Lion King was the Shrek of Disney.
Wow.
When you got Shrek at Disney, you got Lion Kinged. Everyone's like, thank you.
I just looked to see there was 9 Ernest movies that came out. 9.
Oh, there weren't. Really?
Yes.
Terrible.
There was 6. They had 6 that 6 came out in theaters, and the other 3 were direct to video.
It was,
and they almost
Tyler
came
Perry
out like
before Tyler Perry
in the 90s.
Yeah. It was
During the
very
90s,
Medea-like.
I just looked on Wikipedia. In the 90s, like basically they had one Ernest movie a year come out.
Yeah.
I'm stunned.
It definitely was like, definitely. Yeah.
I had a button with his face on it that I bought at Spencer's.
With that rubber face that he just did the most amazing, very Rowan Atkinson like. He is very, very malleable face. He could make all these weird expressions.
Yeah.
Well, I saw him in something else, and I thought, who's that guy? Because he looked really handsome, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Jim Varney. I don't even remember what it
You're
was.
just used to him screwing his face up as Ernest.
Right.
You know, it's actually the funniest Ernest moment for me. It's actually technically a blooper, but they kept it in the movie because they didn't have a choice.
There you go. You know what I mean?
It's
only $50.
Ernest scares
again.
Oh, it's $50. Sorry, my internet's slow. It's where he has the garbage truck and they empty out the back and he falls down. They literally, you could see the hand of the prop guy that pushes the garbage down for him as he falls out the rake that is then generally disappears behind the wall of the truck. Cheap ass Canadian movies.
Yep.
I miss them.
Stacey, it's like if you had only ever seen Jim Carrey as Fire Marshal Bill, and then you see him with his normal face. These guys that can screw up their faces that way, and Amy Sedaris is another one. You see Amy Sedaris like in a normal interview, she's a very lovely young lady, and then you see her as Jerry Blank on Strangers with Candy, and she just makes herself so ugly. And she talks about that in interviews, how she and her brother used to play games with that as young kids. You know, they would try to screw up their faces and make the ugliest faces they could.
And then you had
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, then you had the child actors like Macaulay Culkin, who never stretched their face beyond 2 inches ever again after having this plastered on every single wall for 4 years.
Yeah, that was a bit of a wasted career.
Mm-hmm. Wasted potential.
That show, Strangers with Candy, was so bizarre. It was
very creepy.
Yeah,
with Steve Carell or Stephen Colbert and Paul Delano, and that was a weird show.
And then she ended up in Mandalorian.
Yeah,
she ends up in a lot of she does a lot of roles. She just doesn't tend to do starring roles.
Who is Captain Idiot?
That's mine.
Oh. I was curious.
Oh, I'm just watching Cats. It's okay.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah, that's what she does to her face for Strangers with Candy. It's very Jim Varney like. You get the overbite. That's a big part of it. Yeah.
Oh no.
Because if you're not familiar with the show, she plays an ex-convict heroin addict who decides to go back to high school to finish her diploma.
Honestly, having a stretchy face is the reason why Cat in the Hat did not work. Because Mike Myers is a funny guy, but he could not make his face move like Jim Carrey did in The Grinch.
No.
And that was the whole selling point of the frickin' movie. It wasn't the story. It wasn't Dr. Seuss. It was Jim Carrey making freaky faces dressed up as the Grinch.
Well, I'm not even a fan of Jim Carrey as the Grinch, to be honest, but it's better than Mike Myers as the Cat in the Hat.
Nobody is. It's his best. That is literally method acting for Jim Carrey, which, you know, you had hoped he would do that and realize he could just be himself on Man on the Moon, but he didn't.
Yeah.
I think the Grinch was his penance for doing that.
Oh, Andy Kaufman. Ah.
That's the movie I want to review next, I think.
What?
Man on the Moon. It's the Jim Carrey, Andy Kaufman movie.
I loved Andy Kaufman. I mean, he was just such a bizarre performance artist. It's just a strange dude. He used to tell the story about when he was diagnosed with his terminal illness and he was being pushed around in his wheelchair. People were going, "Oh, you and this dying thing, you really are getting people this time." People didn't take him seriously because he'd done so many weird stunts and gags.
And then he died.
Well,
the
did
boy
he
who
die?
cried cancer.
What he wants you to think.
Did he die?
He's with Elvis.
Well, I mean, that whole Tony Clifton thing. I mean,
well, yeah, the fact that he had his manager go out as Tony Clifton was just bizarre. Yeah, I would say, rather than watch The Man on the Moon, the documentary I'm From Hollywood is really worth watching. I think it's only about an hour long, but it's the only flaw in it is I don't think they had the rights to show the appearances on Dave Letterman when he was on with Jerry Lawler, because those are sort of must-sees, and those aren't on there. But
it's the Jerry Lawler story. I could watch this.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows how much I love professional wrestling.
I'm not a fan of professional wrestling, but that I'm From Hollywood is a fun watch. When he's touring the country as a wrestling villain, and he's just getting booed by all these local crowds, and he's just loving it.
Audiences in wrestling are just amazing, because there were people who knew it was fake and really got invested, and then their kids grew up thinking that it was real, and it kind of swung the other way, back and forth, depending on how big it was. So yeah, in the late 80s, like, you couldn't break kayfabe because you had to keep the illusion that everything was real. And that's how you got all these crazy people literally trying to kill wrestlers because they hated them so much. It was hilarious.
Well, but then there were court cases, and the WWF at that time actually came out and said, no, these are not sporting events. These are entertainment events.
Yep.
So, you know, because they had some issues with gambling and some issues with some misrepresentation, and they said, nope, we never present ourselves as a sporting event. We do not.
And then it was called sports entertainment for the longest time until Vince McMahon finally got caught a couple too many times and got kicked out of the company. So now it's back to professional wrestling. You can say wrestling in WWE again. It's amazing.
Yeah, but is
superstars.
It really? Yeah, but is it really though? Because I used to love it as a kid, and I used to love it in the 90s, and I actually stopped watching once it started to be more about the entertainment aspect of it, you know, versus the actual in-ring stuff. Because now the in-ring stuff is very hit or miss. I can't watch it. I just can't.
For me, it's like the Three Stooges on steroids. Like, these are people who overcommit, and so, you know, depending on how good they are, of course, it's going to be good or bad.
Have you watched the Iron Claw, Scott?
I have seen the Iron Claw. I freaking love that movie. Zac Efron should have been nominated for that movie.
I'm debating watching it because, again, I'm never a fan of wrestling, but it looks like a really well-made movie.
The Wrestler, I feel like, is still the best movie about wrestling.
Okay.
That's Mickey.
Is that Mickey Rourke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? The best wrestling movie ever is No Holds Barred, man. What are you talking about?
Oh, piss off! No, it's The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. People died.
Well, the ending's ambiguous. You don't know.
I do like No Holds Barred.
What's that one that Reagan always watched about?
The ending of the wrestler is ambiguous. You don't know what happens.
Like, what's wrong with that? I don't need to know what happens.
I know. But Scott said he dies, but I'm like, you don't know that.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I think the last shot of the movie was him just suddenly lifting up and like, oh wait, I'm flying. I didn't jump off the top rope. I'm going to space. We'll always be together.
Mickey Rourke is a notoriously difficult actor to work with, however.
Oh yeah, he actually didn't know that. He had a feud with a wrestler for WrestleMania 25. Get this, it was called the 25th anniversary, even though it was technically WrestleMania 24. It's the funniest thing ever. Freaking stupid. But yeah, he was building up a feud with this wrestler for WrestleMania, and the guy was saying all these mean things to him on Larry King, and he didn't know that he was playing around. So he actually sent a bunch of his guys backstage to threaten him before the match. And Jericho's like, "Whoa, no, this is a fake. This is a thing, man. I'm just pulling your leg." And that's when he finally calmed down.
That was Jericho, right? Him and Jericho.
Yeah, Chris Jericho. He was still in his 2008 heel phase. It was amazing.
You want to talk about phoning it in? How about Mickey Rourke in Iron Man 2?
Yeah, it could be.
Actually, the guy who plays the old man that dies at the beginning of that movie, that was one of my film professors.
Huh. What? It's not a horrible movie. It's just
Russian Academy Award winner Eugene Laszlev. Yeah, that guy was one of my teachers. Drop!
I mean, even if it had been a really good movie, it would have been impossible to follow Iron Man, but it really was not great.
No,
it had a few moments.
It's not bad. It's just not very good. It's mediocre. For Marvel, and if you discount the last 5 or 6 years of Marvel, it'd be in the near bottom of Marvel movies.
The best
but now that Marvel's shown you what bad movies look like.
Now that we've had the Eternals and the Marvels,
rises to the top.
I will say still, the Captain America movies are still the best series of Marvel films. Like, I enjoy every single one of those ones.
There's a bunch I could say that. I mean, if you take the first movie of a bunch of the first Guardians of the Galaxy, the first Iron Man, the first Captain America, the first Thor, those are all really good movies.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I see it too. Yeah, the sequels.
They didn't always know what to do with the sequels, but the first movie in those, they really seem to have their act together.
I think it's a toss up for me between Guardians of the Galaxy and, I mean,
and even the first Ant-Man.
I'd say I'm talking about as far as the Marvels, like series of Marvel movies go.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Guardians of the Galaxy, or even though Age of Ultron sucked, I'd still say the Avengers was pretty good. I didn't like Age of Ultron was bad.
I'm gonna go with
the origin of the Vision, so you give it some credit for that.
We got to bad until we got to the Eternals. When you start seeing a bad Marvel.
Yeah, the beginning of the next phase after Endgame.
The Eternals.
Yeah.
The Marvels.
I would go with Iron Man. I think would be my favorite one, but I really, really like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
All time. Yeah.
Actually,
Iron Man was both a great movie standalone and just the perfect movie on which to build a franchise.
It really was just amazing. I think the way they did it.
The casting is what killed it. I mean, they knocked it out of the park with the casting on that.
Yeah. I just don't understand what happened with those movies because, man, Iron Man, the first Iron Man was so good. The second one was like, and then the third one, I did not like Iron Man 3 at all.
I barely remember it.
Here's the thing,
at least memorable for sure.
It was like mopey. He was just being like mopey. Like the whole movie's like, I don't want to be Iron Man anymore. Blah 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 blah.
Well, if you think about it, you know who the villain is in Iron Man 1. You know who the villain is, even though he's phoning it in to a degree in Iron Man 2. Iron Man, and it also has the great reveal. And Iron Man 3 just, I don't even remember who his protagonist was.
Ben Kingsley.
No, it was.
That was 2, wasn't it?
Guy Pearce.
It was 3.
Guy Pearce.
Oh, okay.
It was Guy Pearce because Ben Kingsley's character was basically like a red herring.
Well, yeah, and that was the best part of that movie, was the Ben Kingsley thing.
Yeah.
That's not enough of the movie to redeem it.
Yeah, he was doing Chris Jericho. No, this is the Rouge, man. I'm just getting paid to do this.
Yeah, I'm just an actor, man.
And actually, honestly,
Stacey
that's the most Ben Kingsley thing he's ever done.
Don't wake up, Stacey.
Yep, don't wake me up.
Summer has...
I think that must be our clue that we've gone a little over time.
It might be time. It might be time to call it quits.
Eric's been doing
That's all right,
thing in the background.
We have 2 weeks.
Monday, we might go for 7 or 8 hours. It's hard to say. what might happen next Monday night. So join us for what is bound to be
dance.
The EriDan Summer of EriDan Summers. So, we will see you as EriDan Summer begins next Monday night as we return to the social hour. 2 weeks from now, we will be back with the movie show where we will talk about the Iron Giant. Check your local libraries.
I haven't checked to see. So I'll have my work computer with me and my Chromebook. The Chromebook will surely work. The work computer, I have the feeling, probably blocks StreamYard because they're pretty heavy on their filtering.
Can't wait for Drawful.
Yeah.
It's a good
What was the one where you have to do the guess? That's the one I enjoyed the most.
I love that one.
I like
That
the
one's really
rap
good.
battle. The rap battle's fun.
Quiplash. Quiplash.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Quiplash.
Quiplash is
good too, yeah.
Quiplash. They have some new games out, but we will probably get into some of those as summer goes on.
Okay.
But we will.
Thank
we
you,
will
Eric.
play
Appreciate
some
your
classic
resurrecting that.
favorite ones. So yeah. So we will see you next Monday night.
Sounds good.
And have a great week. See ya. Bye.
Goodbye.
Hey, I didn't turn off the stream. Good night, everybody. See ya. And